What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and welcome to another episode of Batman Month. And this time I will be doing a follow-up to my first part of The Dark Knight Returns Part 1, which is the Frank Miller novel, which was written back in, I believe, 1986. I may be wrong on that. And just like the first part, this movie kind of has two different story arcs with a central one. The first part deals with Joker waking out of his coma and appearing on a certain talk show in which he's going to supposedly tell his side of the story, say he's changed, but obviously being the Joker, we all know he hasn't changed, and he goes on a killing spree while Batman is training Carrie Kelly, which is the new Robin, and it all comes to a final confrontation between Batman and the Joker in which it is a fight to the death. And I must say, up to this point, in terms of animation movies of the Joker and Batman, this is by far the most graphic final confrontation. I would even say it's even more graphic than the final confrontation that Batman and Joker had in the movie Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. The central story, which links part 1 and, or should I say part 3 and 4, if you're doing this in a whole, deals with Superman being asked by the president to interfere in a war between the United States and Russia for control of a little central island, which is off the coast of the United States. And the third and final part of Part 2 deals with Superman going after Batman because now the president is stating, okay, now you've handled with that Russia situation, we want you to go to Gotham City and bring Batman down because we do not like how he is running things in Gotham and he's making the government look bad, and we want you to take him out because you know him better than anyone. And it once again comes to another major confrontation, a major head-to-head battle between Batman and Superman. And there's a pretty emotional scene with Alfred in the mansion during this fight, which for me was a pretty legitimate tearjerker. And it pretty much ends on a high note, dealing with the fate of Batman and exactly what Bruce Wayne, if should he live, is going to do for the rest of his life. Now, I would like to say this. The animation is the same as it was in Part 1. It's very fluid, and it's definitely reminiscent of the artwork done in the actual novel. It's just been a little bit smoothened out and a little bit stylized for an animated movie, and it works. The voice acting, all the actors come back. Peter Weller as an older Bruce Wayne, I think his performance really stood out in this one because you definitely get to, he definitely brings out a much older and a much more hardened version of Batman, to the point where Batman at this point really doesn't have a problem with killing at this point, because he now sees that Gotham has kind of gone to a different level of kind of violent, and so killing may be the only option. One somewhat gripe I would say about the voice acting is I didn't particularly like the voice actor for Joker, because I thought his voice was a little bit too high and it kind of sounded like a much younger Joker than an older Joker, since I'm guessing Joker would be kind of around the same age as Batman, hopefully, so he would be in his 50s, so he didn't really have that presence of, okay, I'm a older Joker who has an experience of being a psychotic maniac. And Superman played his part, you know, he's the Boy Scout and pretty much does what Superman does, for those of us who have read enough about Superman. And other than that, there really aren't many flaws. I think, however, in a whole, between Parts 1 and Parts 2, the biggest flaw I had in this one was that it is about the same length as Part 1, running at about an hour and 12 minutes, which is a bit confusing because they could have combined these two movies into about 2.5 hour movie, and I think I still would have paid for that, or in my case, I didn't have to pay. But I really hate that this trend that Batman has now joined, in which you're taking a singular story, which you could easily tell in one part, and splitting it into two stories, it just kind of turns me away from, and I just don't want to see more of this in future Batman animated movies, because there's plenty of comic book storylines which would make great films. I just don't want to see them suffer the same fate as The Dark Knight Returns and being cut into 2 parts. But other than that, this is definitely a must-see. If you have seen part 1, definitely pick this up when it comes out on January 29th. And despite some flaws with the voice actor for Joker and splitting it into 2 parts and not really adding much backstory to, say, Carrie Kelly to actually see her development as Robin, it's a pretty solid Batman animated film. Not the best, certainly, probably, in my opinion, in like the top 5. And I would give part 2 a probably well-deserved A-. Definitely check it out when it comes out. And if you like this review, please like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check with me in my future movie reviews. I've also left a link in the description down below if you have not seen part 1 of The Dark Knight Returns. And you can also friend me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter for more information on other videos coming out. And like always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.